Welcome to Beyond the Frontline podcast, where your hosts, U.S. Air Force veterans Donna Hoffmeyer and Jay Johnson, will help you transition from the front line to the home front. Listen every other Wednesday as they will bring great conversations, resources, tips, and feel-good stories that will resonate and relate. Now, here's your hosts, Donna Hoffmeyer and Jay Johnson.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Beyond the Frontline. I am your constant antagonist, Jay Johnson, one of your co-hosts on this incredible podcast. I'm joined in studio today by a couple friends. One of them you know all too well. It's the one and only Miss Donna Hoffmeyer. Donna, what is going on with you?
You're the antagonist? You sure about that?
It's the only thing I could come up with on the fly. It works.
On the fly, yeah. Usually it's me that's spurring the jokes there. All right, yeah. I will say though, you have mellowed. In the beginning, he was the very, professional. He's got the voice. He's got the polish. And then there was me that was like stumbling along. And so I think we've kind of come to the middle. I poke, you laugh. I'm a little more polished, not a lot, but I'm getting there. Right.
No, it's fun. It's all about bringing our unique personalities and styles into it. I don't think they want, I don't know. I can't speak for the audience. When you're listening to this, everybody, this is where Donna and I always say, we love hearing from you. So it's an opportunity for you to weigh in, but I don't think people want, people who are completely polished and not authentic, right? Right. Not willing to kind of give them a glimpse into what's going on in their world that is both good and maybe challenging. So,
well, hell's bell. If you go by that theory, then they're going to love me.
We'll put that under the title of Hot Mess.
There you go. I will be the poster child for it.
I'm just kidding. That's not true. I think any one of us face challenges day to day. What's going on, Donna? Tell me something that's happening in your world that's positive.
Positive. Let's see. I have children doing track and field. And that's mostly positive, they're all one's jumping hurdles, I think they're both jumping hurdles, one's into long jump, and that's all we talk about right now is track and field stuff. So that's all going on, and business is starting to pick up, and we're launching all these veteran breakfasts, and
they're good.
They're good. Hopefully we start footprinting more of those. And then we've got the radio station going, and I'm kind of still helping with that. And all kinds of good stuff. I mean, it's just constant. My mind is a constant checklist. I know you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
I'm usually like, where are you? Do you have this? Do you have that? Like, oh, wait, I'm over here. I'm up there. I'm in another state.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of travel lately, a lot of concerts lately for those listening.
You have been. What was the last one? Eagles?
Saw the Eagles, then I saw Styx, and tomorrow it's Blake Shelton, and then we've got Heart coming up, and we've got Creed and Three Doors Down coming up, and
holy crap!
Because I love music, man. I can't get enough. It's good stuff.
Are they all here?
They're all over. We saw the Eagles in Houston. We'll see Blake Shelton in Austin. They're local, most of them.
Dang, you're a groupie. I said that last time. You're an official groupie. I mean, like, Heart must know you guys by now.
Yeah, I'm in, funny story, Donna. I appear in one of their videos. Back in 2012, they sent a call out to veterans, and they said, hey, we've written a song that's uniquely veteran focused. It's called Dear Old America. And we're asking veterans to submit their photos to be included in our video. And I submitted one of my father from the 50s. It's a black and white photo. He's 101st Airborne back then, and he's all in his jump gear getting ready to board the plane. It's just a badass photo. And then I sent one of me in the Middle East when I was deployed holding an Oklahoma flag, right? Because I'm an alum of Oklahoma University. And I thought, surely they're going to put my dad's in because it's just a cool photo. No, they put mine in.
Were you like half naked with a big machine gun?
No, I'm not. Nobody needs to see this. Not even back then when I was fitter, it wouldn't have been a pretty sight. But it is kind of a neat thing to say, and when people doubt me, I pull it up and show them in the video, and they're like, "That's nuts, man." But anyway.
Well, actually, now you said that real quick. You remember how we did a podcast with Karen Soroka? We
Yeah.
were doing that business series, right? And she
Yeah.
has Scratch on. So I just saw she's a leap year baby. And Karen started a cruise where you invite them to a cruise. It's specific for leap year. They have, I think, 70 people, and they just got interviewed by Good Morning America. Laura Spencer just interviewed her and the crew, and they just did a whole thing about leap year babies, and they caught wind of her cruise. And she was literally just saw it this morning. So
No, it's awesome.
shout out to Karen. I thought that was super awesome. So,
Yeah, I like shout outs. We should do that for some of our folks. Speaking of shout outs, Donna, and
we got to do a good one. This is a good
yeah, I'm
one.
going to go ahead and give an introduction and a shout out
Okay.
to our guest today. I met Darren Bowser a little over a year ago. I have the privilege of facilitating an executive transition assistance program for our senior military leaders who are moving on to something else in life. And Donna's always in the room helping and sharing story and wisdom too. But Darren and I met and we were talking kind of on the side. And, Darren, tell me about, what lies ahead for you. And he says, I don't know, Jay, but I kind of have this interest and I've got a buddy and an opportunity to maybe go log some time in this distillery in Tennessee, right? Whiskey distillery. And I thought, get out, man. That's cool. But listen to this, everybody. Darren has 37 years time in the United States Army. The last 30 years heavily has been in the logistics career field in 90 Alpha. And he's done a few other things. He's, I think, been the chief of sustainment for Army South, which has a lot under that portfolio too. I asked Darren what he considered, kind of his hometown. I think he was born in Ohio, but he considers Smithville, Tennessee, a little bit of a hometown, or at least where he's going to go maybe plant some roots for a little while. And so without further ado, Darren's joining us today. Today is his last, speaking of leap years, Donna, this is Darren's last day on duty, right? And so we're pleased to have you join us, Darren. Darren, say hello. What's going on, my friend?
Hi, Jay. Just sitting in my travel trailer, getting to move out from San Antonio and start heading back east to Smithville, Tennessee, for the next chapter of my life. Tomorrow's my first day retired, and so I'm really looking forward to it.
When you step outside, Darren, and start looking for your hat, you don't have one anymore, my man. That's the one thing that hit me when I was no longer in uniform. Where's my hat?
That's why he wears a baseball hat all the time.
That's true. I'm addicted. Yeah. Sorry, Darren. I didn't mean to step on you. I just wanted to equip you. Don't look for your hat.
No, I have plenty of hats now. Have brother-in-law in Tennessee, sister-in-law. I have a brother there as well, and daughter and two granddaughters. So that's why we're moving back to reconnect with family.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a pretty state, Darren. I'm out there a lot. My significant other lived in Nashville the last 20 years, and she's been in Texas now for almost 2, I think. And so we go back to the Nashville area a lot. I like it out there.
It is beautiful. The place, Smithville, there's a lake there, Center Hill Lake. And as we went and looked at Skill Bridge and what I wanted to do, where I wanted to do it, Skill Bridge helped us to kind of transition early to get ourselves there. We rented a cottage up on a ridge right above the lake. And it's just beautiful, hilly, kind of mountainous area. And the distillery that I started doing my internship at is right underneath Short Mountain, which that's the name of the distillery, Short Mountain Distillery.
Wow. So wait, for the audience, just so they know, and Darren, just correct me if I get off base, but you got a Skill Bridge internship. And so for a civilian audience that doesn't really know what that is, it's essentially you get to the last 6 months of your military days, you actually get the opportunity to go intern somewhere to basically exactly what it is, bridge the gap, right, of skills. And so if you want to learn a new career field or you're interested somewhere, you can go find this opportunity. Now, there is some requirements, like they have to be vetted by the government and all that other stuff, but there's a lot of opportunities, from corporate all the way down to distillery. I know somebody that went to a horse farm and was working out there. And I was like, wow, you want to shovel crap for your internship? That's awesome. But hey, whatever. So it's pretty cool that you got to do that. And you were, the downside, and I say this, that a lot of times, especially in this short-staffed world, they don't approve it. It's commander approval, right? So I was in that position to go, and just before, they're like, sorry, I'm all of a sudden too important to lose. I'm like, imagine that. And that's the downside.
Well, I'm kind of lucky that I had foresight that I wanted to do this in my last 6 months. And I had to decide when would be my last 6 months so that I could meet the timeline and the expectations of the commander, so that I could, and also human resources command, so I could get a replacement in and then do that transition and be able to have the time to go and do the skill bridge that did not interrupt the command.
Right.
And that the commander would sign off and allow me to take. I took 4 months, beginning of October to beginning of February, and just moved there and left a month at the end so that I could come back here and do all my clearing, make sure my medical was right, so on and so forth.
That's smart.
That's really cool. We're going to talk about distillery, Darren, because it's one of the things that, again, when you and I first met, I just was fascinated by. You were kind enough to send me a couple emails and give me just kind of an update. Jay, this is where I am, what's going on. And but first, I want to steer back. You said, hey, I'm sitting here in my travel trailer. You're still in the San Antonio area for the moment, but getting ready to pack up and head east. Donna and I, our respective families, we love to get out and do some glamping. That's what I'll call it, right? Because we have air conditioning. And what are you in? Are you in a Class A, Class C, fifth wheel, tow behind? What are you in?
No, I'm in a 30-foot towable travel trailer.
Okay.
And it's perfect just for the wife and I. And we have 2 70+ pound dogs. So
nice.
Yeah, we keep the table down as a bed for them, and that's where they are.
That's awesome. That's fun.
How long have you been in the? Oh, I'm sorry. How long you been in the trailer?
Oh, we came back the 2nd of February, so 29 February. Just been in this month. We did move out of our rental here before I started the internship, and lived in the travel trailer for a couple months, and got some of the household goods moved to Tennessee, and then the rest is in non-temp storage. So as I look at purchasing a home come up this summer, fall, that'll be about my year that I'm allowed to have that non-temp storage paid for by the government. And also with the VA funding fee associated, I get to wait until I get my my disability letter, and I believe if it's over 50%, I don't have to pay a funding fee, which is a significant savings when I go to purchase a home.
Correct. Yeah. I'm going to ask this question. Have you bought a house before, or will this be your first purchase?
No, I bought 2 houses before.
Okay.
Had one, and had one in Georgia.
There are some people that have done a whole career and they've just rented, and so I've told, civilian, like realtors or, mortgage lenders, like people that we knew, if we're just in conversation, I'm like, just keep in mind, I said, you might have somebody that you feel is seasoned, because of their age and whatnot. And I said, this may be their first purchase or maybe just their second one. They're like, what? Yeah. I mean, if they choose to rent an entire career, I've seen it. It's not a big deal, but just keep that in mind. They were surprised when I said that.
I fit part of that, right? I've bought 2 homes in my life, but I've never used my VA benefit to purchase a home. So that's coming. I'm getting ready to pull the trigger right now.
Are you?
Darren, back to you. Let's just do let's make this fun. Donna and I always say to Yeah, we always say to our guests, we like it to be organic. Your
Jay's
career's
thinking.
wrapping up today, 37 years, brother. That's a lot. When you look back at that span of time, what are you going to carry with you that you're most proud of?
Relationships, the success of people that I've worked with, and been able to mentor and influence. I mean, it's about the people. What I did was more about, those people around me, that enabled me to do what I did. So it was so much fun. I mean, I've been overseas multiple times, Iraq, a couple times, Afghanistan, did the Kosovo conflict. All that stuff, is kind of footnotes, and it felt good to be able to help out and do something good in the world. But really just get back to the relationships. And I have so many friends everywhere that with the travel trailer, it's going to be great to go and connect with them as well.
Yeah, I love that.
So conversely, what are the things that you'll be happy to let go? Start listing.
Yeah. Meetings, scheduled meetings. Nothing scheduled really anymore except for by my wife. She tells me what we're going to be doing, and I'll be ready to do it. But freedom of maneuver.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that a lot. Freedom of maneuver.
No more PT tests. Got to get those in there.
Yeah, but you've been doing that for so long.
I know.
You're part of your daily habit.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Let me ask this. What have you done in probably the last month or so to kind of mentally prepare for that transition? Because I'm sure you've heard your friends, like, hey, I crashed and burned, or hey, it wasn't that easy. And it's kind of like parenting, right? Like you can give everybody all the warnings and all the heeds and all the good and the bad. And until you do it yourself, like none of it really clicks in there, So
Yeah, well, to prepare, the last month isn't really, it goes back farther than that. This internship that I did, starting in beginning of October, I had goals in it that were, to prepare ourselves. One, I wanted to get into a community that I knew nothing about and make connections. And we've made some wonderful connections, not only at the distillery, the distributor, Chamber of Commerce, people that do construction and stuff, reconnecting with family, being able to spend time with them, and then friends that my wife, she was from Nashville, so we have a lot of mutual friends that we were able to reconnect with, and just getting to know the area. That internship allowed us, to set ourselves to where when we leave, we already got someplace to go. We already know people, already have opportunities for things to do, like distilling. So if they need help, I could go there and distilling. If the distributor needs help, I could help him with market research, which is some of the stuff that I did, and go to meetings at the state level for the owner of the distillery, which he wanted me to do as well.
That's really cool, Darren. I remember you just talking about having this interest in it, and it was such an opportunity that was unique. You didn't want to pass it up. We'll get to that again still here in a bit. This whole transition piece where Donna was asking you about, what did you mentally prepare for? Let's talk more about the long term of it. Like when I met you at the beginning of last year and you were looking ahead, you were already starting kind of some preparations. What did you feel like you were well prepared for the transition, and what are some things that maybe you've bumped your head on along the way and going, I wish I had anticipated that?
Well, I started 2 years ago, and still you're going to bump your head, or I bumped my head on a whole lot of things. They say get to medical, about everything, and where's the balance? Requesting your medical records early, I wanted to wait and try to get more stuff added to it. And then next thing I know is I'm in my 180-day period for, benefits delivery at discharge, that 180 to 90-day period. And my VSO's like, where are the records? Where are the records? And I'm still waiting on them because they're so backlogged. So, that was a little bit nerve wracking. Also making sure that I had time or the freedom of maneuver, talking to the owner of the distillery to make sure when I got those VA appointments, I could meet them. I did some of them back here, came back in December, and then a couple of them got canceled, weather and all that. And I had to go back to Tennessee and do a couple appointments back there. That was challenging. And then knowing or trying to make a decision on, like VGLI transition. I have to wait until the 1st of March, tomorrow, to sign up for that. The FedVIP, for vision and
that's
dental. That's a big thing. And I've already gotten signed up for that. And, I got my, retired ID card yesterday. My wife got hers as well. Having time to schedule that and making sure that the Deers is updated. And then I called this morning to get TRICARE, decide between TRICARE Prime and TRICARE Select. We're not going to be near a military treatment facility, so kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So, doing the TRICARE Select was my decision. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, and going down checklists, there's going to be things that you miss, and just keep checking up and, talking to people and learning more about the transition. I talked to a lot of retirees. The retirees are, giving me their lessons learned, helped out a lot to make sure I didn't miss something. And as I head back to Tennessee, I'm sure there's going to be something come up, but I've done my due diligence to try to make sure that I've checked every box, crossed every T, dotted every I. You keep beating yourself up, but I think I'm well prepared. And the ETAP was instrumental in that, and also installation single day retirement briefing. I went and got that set of slides, and I still was going through it last night just to make sure that there isn't something before my last day on active duty. I'm not missing something that I have to do before I'm on the retired rolls.
Yeah.
Right. When I listened to that, I know Jay smirking because I know what we're both thinking. You have definitely put the padding out. You know what I mean? Like, you've done a phenomenal job. 2 years out. I mean, you're kind of like the poster child. You've gone through everything. You've checked the boxes and all that. And the next part, we could ask the question and you don't have an answer now because you're not in it, is like, when it is all done. And when I say all done, I mean, you got the TRICARE, you figured out your insurance, your pay's coming in, your all those things that distract us that we're really busy doing, checklist galore. It's all done. And now it's just you and a honey-do list and a honey, your wife. And now all of a sudden you're in a different routine, right? And it's not fair to say, like, no, are you ready? Because you're not going to know. Like, you can only anticipate. And when I listen to you, you are preparing. You've made connections. You have people there. You found things to do. So I would say that you are doing everything you can to be prepared for that. Now, I will say, because I have a firm belief when people are like, oh, I crashed and burned. I'm like, everybody has to crash and burn. That is the way we get that first layer off us. That's the way we start disconnecting from what we have been indoctrinated in for 20, 30 plus years. We have to do a little crash and burn. But the goal is, right, rise like the phoenix, right? Not turn into smithereens spread across the highway. So I think you've done a good job. Like when I listen to that, I think you've done a phenomenal job prepping and really forward thinking about what this is going to look like. My advice is that when you do have that quiet and you're like, holy crap, and it's all different, just let yourself go through it, because every single one of us has gone through that. It's kind of the rite of passage of retirement.
Are you taking downtime, Darren?
Somewhat. So let me finish with the thought about anything you run into as I go into my first months of retirement. I'm waiting for my final pay. I didn't get paid today, last day of the month. So I had to make sure I had money to pay the bills, that I normally pay at the beginning of the month and mid-month. So they say 5 to 7 business days, you'll get your final pay. And so that could be as late as the 11th of the month. And so I'm looking at that, tracking that. Also, I'm transitioning from active duty LES to retired, and I'm still looking for that my pay account to come up, to feel more comfortable. I also have a former spouse that will get a portion of my retired pay. And when will that happen? I have to make sure I have the money to send her a check for what she would have been getting, so I don't get in trouble, legally, that kind of thing. So, what I learned also from finance and garnishment is for the former spouse, her portion by the garnishment at DFAS could take 2, 3, maybe even 4 months before that is taken. So I've contacted her and made sure she understood, hey, this is what I'm going to do, so that, I don't get a bunch of backlash that, hey, where is this? Where's that? Manage her expectations. But transitioning to now, what am I going to do downtime? I've already looked at this next year and, kind of scheduled things by grouping in months. So March is going back, get a fishing license, do some fishing, clean the travel trailer. I'm going to take the travel trailer in April and spend a month up in Ohio around brothers, family, kind of reconnect with them some. And then I'm going to come back May, June, and July is where I'm doing the house hunting and looking at getting household goods delivered. And then in August and September, the wife and I are taking the trailer out to Vegas, and we're going to stop along different places, visit people on the way there. And September, I'm going to take myself over to California and meet my brother and a nephew and go mountain climbing, backpacking and mountain climbing for a few weeks. And so I've kind of laid out the next year. Then in 2025, that's when I'm looking at what do I really want to do with the distillery. I've already communicated that with the owner, as well as the distribution company in Tennessee that does the liquor distribution for that distillery and other craft distillers. So, I have an opportunity to kind of step into some things in 25, and that's when I'm going to, be finding more things to do and also continue to schedule out travel plans with my wife.
Well, you laid all that out like I would expect somebody that spent 30 years in logistics to do, right? I mean, from the top of your mind, laying out month by month. And man, that's fun. You've got some good stuff coming up. Donna and I are huge advocates for decompression time. So it sounds like you're going to do quality decompression time. That's awesome.
Yeah, the lake has small and largemouth bass. And my brother-in-law lives about 15 minutes away from where we're renting a cottage on the ridge above the lake. The river that feeds it has trout. I don't know how to fly fish, but my brother-in-law does. He's going to teach me how to fly fish. So we'll be spending some time either on the lake kayaking or on the edge, or fly fishing in the river.
So, Darren, you have to look this up. You have to look up Eagle Rest Reserve. Look it up. It's in Texas. And if you're coming across and you're stopping places, if you set this up, you actually can learn fly fishing out on Lake Whitney. The gentleman that does it, he was on our podcast. And he's amazing.
Very
he's
cool.
a really good guy. And they bring you out, and it's a Tuesday through Thursday, so it's not crowded on the lake. They bring you out on a boat. They do all this stuff, and they have RV hookups. So they have a cabin, but they have RV hookups. And then at night they cook you dinner and they love on you and stuff like that. And then you go
take
again
advantage of it there.
Yeah. So I'm just Eagle Rest Reserve, Jeff Gwynn, you tell them that we sent you.
Yeah.
And it is completely free for veterans. This is what they do to help that decompression and all that. So there you go.
My wife is listening in the background. She's like, got it.
It is for families too. Yeah, it's veterans and families. There's no doubt it's good.
That is families too. And the rule is if you're not going there to fish, then you could be a volunteer. And then people ask, well, what do you do to volunteer? You fish. so you're fishing.
That's really, really cool. So Darren, I think the question that has probably been weighing on everybody up to this point is, come on, man, get to the chase. Let's talk about the distillery. So just talk to us about the process, what you went out there to do, what you did, what you enjoyed, what you found was, again, maybe unexpected.
Yeah. So when I went to get the owner to sign me up on the form that I had from Miss Banks for the internship. I told him, hey, it's really this simple. Can't work me more than 40 hours a week. Can't have me selling to the military. Don't have to offer me a job in the end. And all I want to do is just be a part of one distillation. If you have me cleaning a broom closet, okay, fine. But I just once, and he said, no, I'm going to link you right up with the head distiller. So the distillery is the smallest distillery on the Tennessee Whiskey Trail. They only produce about 50 barrels of whiskey a year. When I got there, my first day, I shadowed a distiller cooking a bourbon mash, from getting the grain, putting into the mill, heating up the water, and then milling it, putting it into the water, cooking it, bringing it up to boiling, throwing in enzymes to break down the starches into simple sugars, and then bringing the temperature back down and adding yeast and pump it over into a fermenter. The fermentation process takes about 5 to 10 days. And these are 250 gallon fermenters. They only have 4 of them. And after it finishes, so we pump it over into the still, heat that sucker up, get it going, and it's about say a 6 to 8 hour process of the distillation. It goes up into the tower. There are 3 parts to it: the methyl alcohol, which can make you sick; the next part's the ethyl alcohol with the flavor that comes from the grain, and they kind of call it the heads, the hearts. And then after the flavor starts going away, you're still getting ethyl alcohol, but that's the tails. You want to capture it because you're going to throw that back into the next batch. Once you finish your distillation of 250 gallons of mash, you get about 20 to 25 gallons of liquor. You take that mash, pump it out into a farmer's trailer, tank trailer, and then that farmer goes and picks it up every couple of days and takes it out and feeds his cattle. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Sherry's going to listen to this and be like, oh man, Jay's taking notes, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah, one of the nice things is the head distiller, they only have 5 employees, 2 full-time, the head distiller and a full-time distiller. They have a part-time distiller and 2 part-time bottlers, and everything is done by hand.
Wow.
Everything done by time, temperature, and taste. And the head distiller is a Marine, former Marine. The full-time distiller was in the Navy for 5 years and is a Army reservist. So, talking with them, and, they were a little concerned, Army colonel coming in and being a follower, but I learned to be a follower in the Army. Everybody is, doesn't matter how high your rank is. And they were really, really surprised at how well we worked together. I got to do some special projects, and we'll get to that in a minute.
That's really good. I just had one comment there where you're talking about followership, Darren. I think that's so true, right? But there's a quote. I know that surprises all of our listeners, and it really surprises Donna, because I'm like a quote machine.
Quote machine.
But it says, right. Until you can be in authority, you must first to learn to be under authority, right? So I think
Absolutely.
That's really important. I could follow anyone who's a good person who, values me, my efforts, and I have no problem with that. That's cool to hear you say that, though, expressing that they were a little worried about how you would be when you came in there.
But it's a fair worry, though. I mean, honestly, because, there are people that walk out the door holding on to all of that, and have their invisible uniform on, and, it doesn't go so well. Not with any malintent. It's just, we haven't shaken it yet. So the fact that you can just go, yeah, I'm shutting up in color over here, which to me would be like I like being the new person. I'm like, my favorite word's like, I don't know. Teach me. We're good.
Yeah. One of the nice things there, and, to their credit, they have SOPs for everything. SOP awesome. For the mash for each different type of liquor, whether it be bourbon, Tennessee whiskey, rye whiskey, wheat whiskey, and sugar shine and corn shine, which are the base of flavor shines.
Wow.
I got to be part of it all, and following those SOPs. There's always things that are going wrong, and it's how you react when things go wrong. Knowing that you don't know, and if you see something that's not quite right, hey, head distiller. This doesn't seem quite right. This doesn't look quite right. Am I good, or do we need to make an adjustment? So it was a lot of fun. My first week, I followed for 2 bourbon mash cooks, and then I did 2 bourbon cook mash myself, all by myself, just following the SOP. And then keeping them informed as I was going through the steps, so that I had kind of a backup to making sure I was doing it right. And it was, I couldn't believe that I just stepped right in and was making bourbon.
So my question is, like, how much do they go through? What's it called when the people that taste wine, can't remember the name, but yes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, did you get to do some professional sampling?
Yeah. So the day before my first day, I went out to the distillery just to make sure what time I was supposed to be there, where I was supposed to be, and so on. And they said, "Hey, come with us," and they took me out to the barrel warehouse, which is old tobacco barn, and cool. They have a little over 300 barrels, and we went out there and tapped some of those barrels to do some tasting. They had one barrel that they weren't sure what it was. They, as they're aging, and they have a little bit of seepage and stuff, the label on the end cap of the barrel sometimes gets clouded, and that paint, you can't really see it anymore. So they determined it was a rye whiskey, and they use a chocolate malt in cooking it in the mash bill, and the chocolate flavor doesn't present itself until 4 or 5 years. And so they knew that it was younger than four years because the chocolate had not presented himself. And It's that fine, tuning. But it was so fun going out there, trying different stuff.
Let me just taste this one more time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Probably the first 30 minutes I'd already need to be cut off. That's
My husband would be first in line. Like, I'll be your professional taste tester. No problem. You make, I taste.
That's fun.
That is awesome. So is it something you want to keep doing? I mean, is this your...
Question. Oh, absolutely. Regardless of whether it's for making money or not, I'm doing pretty good. My finances, I believe, will be very comfortable. You talk about, having something to do. This is definitely something I can do. Go out there and help cook a mash or do a distillation. One of the special projects that I was getting to was reorganizing by myself the entire barrel warehouse.
Wow.
They had kind of stacked things in on top of themselves and hadn't done a good job of shuffling and organizing so that you could actually read the end caps, get to the end caps. A lot of the lighting was out. So I went in, fixed all the lighting, went in and moved every single barrel around, cleaning the floors, and getting them organized from oldest to youngest.
Wow.
Barrels so that they could actually tap and see each and every barrel. And they don't necessarily take, first in, first out. They take what's ready. It could be 4 years, it could be 8 years. Like wheat whiskey takes 8 years. The rye whiskey takes 4 to 5 years. And the bourbon, by law, to call it bourbon, has to be in the barrel for at least 4 years.
Interesting.
That's a logistics officer's dream right there.
I was going to say, yeah.
It was hard work, I tell you.
I bet.
Yeah, that's really cool. So maybe here 6 years down the road, we'll be able to walk in a liquor store and find DB's whiskey off of off the shelf or something, where you've been playing and made took a hobby and made it into a career kind of thing, Darren.
Yeah. You talk about titles, father, son, brother, and so on. I've been a soldier for a long time. And now I'm transitioning to Colonel Grandpa. My granddaughter's 4 years old. She came into the distillery one day, and she was hollering, "Colonel Grandpa, where are you?" And everybody's heads popped up, wondering who she was talking about. But yeah, it's kind of hard to not know who she was talking about. And I looked around from the still. I was cooking a rye mash, and said, "Back here, honey." And she came back, gave me a big hug.
That's fun.
Everybody started calling me Colonel Grandpa from then on. So
that's cute.
If there's going to be a whiskey labeled anything, so with me, it's going to be Colonel Grandpa.
Colonel Grandpa.
I like it a lot. It works. It works
too.
Right?
And a backstory, because everybody loves a story, right? Everybody loves that. That would be a really good one.
That's fun.
Hilarious. Well, just as a side note, who they got into moonshine out there, and that is Danielle Parton. They have Skinny. It's Shine Girl, I think, or something like that. I don't know if she's on the trail with those guys, but they have a whole thing. That's Dolly Parton's niece, and they have a whole line that they're starting out there too. So I'm wondering, I don't know if they're on the trail, but yeah, that's just a fun fact.
I had a bad experience with whiskey at 13. I have
13.
I have a hard time smelling it. You laugh. That's a true story. We won't go into that.
But... Oh, I'm gonna have to interview Jay now. I'll be like, we're gonna do our own podcast. Hold on here. Things you do not want people to know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Let me ask this real quick, but when we were kind of meeting in the beginning, you started to talk about the whiskey, like the challenges that were going on, and we just kind of like trailed off. We were talking about other things, and I wanted to kind of go back to that. Like, what were some of the things that you realized? Like with anything we get into, there's nuances, right? Things that you don't know until you get into it.
Oh yeah. So let me see. Three things. One, history. Two, the echelons in the state, and I'll just hold three. Anyway, so history. The distillers, they do tours, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the owner asked me if I wanted to do the tours. Well, I went with the distillers and I learned about the history. The county in which it is in is called Cannon County, and also alternately known as Shotgun County. And a lot of moonshiners around there. Actually, the Short Mountain got started with the owner, a moonshiner, and a brewer. So it was the three of them that got it started. But you go back to the history, Prohibition started in Tennessee 10 years before the rest of the country. And then when it hit the rest of the country, Al Capone of Chicago was not able to get liquor for his speakeasies and so on. And so he heard that Tennessee had a vibrant bootlegging industry, and he came down. He met with a gentleman named James Cooper Melton, who was a bootlegger. They had a 500-gallon still. The foundation of it was only 200 yards behind Short Mountain Distillery's still house. And right beside it is a freshwater spring coming out of the side of the mountain. But anyway, Al Capone came down and met with James Cooper Melton, and they formed a business relationship. And most of Al Capone's liquor came out of Cannon County, came from Cooper Melton. So I learned a bit about the history. Now you kind of move through the years. Tennessee did not change their liquor laws. Prohibition was still in place until about 13 years ago in Tennessee. There were only three major distillers that had federal approval to distill: Jack Daniels, Pritchard's, and George Dickel. And the owner of Short Mountain Distillery, he and one of his brothers moved from California, bought this land and wanted to start a distillery, but they faced problems because of the laws. Well, the owner, working with legislature at the state level, got the laws changed within Tennessee so that folks could get distilling licenses in Tennessee. And in the last 13 years, 40 plus distilleries have stood up, predominantly around Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga. There's one up by Clarksville, and there's one down in Memphis that are part of the Tennessee Distillers Guild, which the owner of Short Mountain also started for the state and handed it over to them.
That's awesome.
And the Tennessee Whiskey Trail. So it's really interesting that I learned a whole lot from the grain level, producing, to the distribution process, to even the state legal process, going out and meeting with the Tennessee Distillers Guild on a quarterly meeting that they have, that they must participate in.
That's really, really cool. It's good insights. I'm a history nut, Darren. So when you were talking about Capone and that whole process, that resonates with just kind of what grounds me anyways. I love history in general.
So what was the echelon part? Is that what you were saying, kind of going up to the state level and the guild?
Yeah, so every state has their own different liquor laws. Kentucky has liquor laws associated with Kentucky bourbon, right, and what it must be to be called bourbon. Tennessee has, because of Jack Daniels, Tennessee whiskey, sugar maple ash filtered. And it's pretty close to, as far as the mash, pretty close to bourbon, but made in Tennessee. And so the laws at that level, getting into taxation and everything, at the distillery level, because of the laws, you can sell at the distillery and on their property, you can sell liquor to the public, but and you get full profit on that. But when you go and sell to a distributor who then sells to a bar or a liquor store, you got more, hands into the bucket, and the distillery makes so much less.
Sticky hands, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it must go that way. The distillery cannot sell liquor and ship it out. It has to be bought at that distillery on their own property.
Wow.
And so understanding that stuff, I went and met with the distributor, went out to his warehouse, and went out and did market research in an area that he had not begun selling to liquor stores. And so I went out to liquor stores, met with owners, and so I got exposure not only at the distillery, and the management, the production and everything, and the distribution, but also with the distributor. And then also at the state level, at the Distiller Guild meetings, which was very interesting. And I'm going to tell you one other thing that I find very interesting dealing with LinkedIn.
Oh,
I've been on LinkedIn for a long time, and I put all my logistics, my military experience and everything and all this stuff. And I don't really get that many pop-up jobs, in these areas and so on, because there's so many people that have that expertise. Wanted to do something totally different. So I went and changed my LinkedIn to be a distiller intern. And I started putting those technical or those key things that I had learned in distilling, from cooking a mash to, distributing liquor to distilling and so on. And I'm still amazed at the number of jobs in the region that have popped up. Job here at Sazerac, job here at Bardstown, job here at Horse Soldier. I mean, there are so many jobs in the distilling realm, just warehouse management. There are opportunities out there that I didn't know were there. And because I got this exposure, I got this experience, I was able to pull, as you talk, those key words. I now have people contacting me about, working at this distillery or this barrel warehouse, or
that's awesome.
So on. It's really, I'm in awe of, how much exposure I got just in that area with 4 months of doing an internship.
You know what's cool about this? Like, I'm listening to this, I'm kind of smirking, because the reality is you're using all your skill set. I mean, I am giggling. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a colonel. That was a commander. Yep. I'm listening. Like, you're like, and definitely logistics. I mean, if I didn't know, I probably would have guessed where you were at, right? You're very logical. You're very organized. You get things situated. You're methodical. Everything that's needed to go make some whiskey and moonshine or whatever, where you think about somebody in the back making moonshine, right? And the reality of it is it's a whole bunch of logistics in there, and in the SOPs. I was like, wow, you just turned a military career into fun. Like, you just took all your stuff, moved it to an entire new direction using all your skills. And if that isn't the best example of what Jay and I are always discussing, you took all your soft skills and just moved it over into an entirely new area that you knew nothing about, but you fit in so comfortably because you had the skill set and didn't even know it until you got into it, right?
Yeah, but I had help out there as well.
Of course.
Before we got onto the podcast, talked a little bit about a former Special Forces logistics colonel that was looking at doing kind of the same thing I was doing, not looking to make any money, looking to get himself moved forward into Kentucky. And he did an internship with Horse Soldier, and they found that he was very valuable. Offered him a job, very good job. And after 2 years now, a little over 2 years, the chief operating officer told him he wanted to back off and go do something else, the chief operating officer, that is, and offered him the job. And now that colonel is the chief operating officer for Horse Soldier Distilleries, which you can find at many of your Class 6 stores.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We've had some that was donated to us, even that they all had autographed, and I think Donna used it as an auction item maybe at one of her veterans events not long ago. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. But it really is just like the best example. See, we need to take the video and we just need to go put this at ETAP. Like, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about.
With Darren's permission. I think Darren and I talked about that too, right? Me having a little video to let them listen to that's out of the box of what maybe we all do. But with your permission, Darren, maybe I'll strip that part out without the Beyond the Frontline.
Oh, yeah. Just the main part. But
use that to...
It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to this whole thing and I was like, see, it's the poster child for what we talk about. I don't work in my former career field at all. Jay doesn't work in his former career field, but our skills translate to what we're doing now. And I just find an ease in what I do because I'm actually just using the same skill set in a whole different way. So, yeah.
I still sweep floors. I just sit back with a beverage of choice in hand and let Roombas do it. That's all. I play way more than I work, Darren. That's what you need to know. It's all good. Well, look, Darren, I'll turn to you real quick before I turn to Donna to let her land this plane, since her and I are a couple Air Force people. That's the way we always talk about wrapping up our podcast. But what else, Darren? Anything else on your heart that you were stepping in with us today? One, I want to just say thanks, right? Really gracious of your time, particularly when, you and your bride are about to put a bow on this place and head to the next place. Anything else that you'd like to share with listeners on anything?
The bottom line, I've formed a little bit of notoriety with folks that started asking me here that I did an internship at a distillery, and there's so many people that have come up to me. But my bottom line message is you can do anything you want to do. Just seek it out, figure out how to do it. You run into roadblocks, just go around them. Because there's so much out there that can be fun. If you want to do the military thing and want to get a GS job or, contracting job and so on and so forth, and that's what makes you happy and comfortable, do that. But if you want to do something else, you got an interest out there that you think would make you happy, go do it. Go seek it out. And the internship is, the sky is the limit. You can do anything you want to do, which is exactly what I did. Found something different, found something that fit in my timeline, and just made it happen.
It's cool, Darren. I will tell you, I don't remember if it was the last transition session that I facilitated or the one prior to that, but I said, I've met someone, this is what he went out and did or is doing, and 2 people in the room said, "You're talking about Darren." So when you said that you've created a little bit of a following, you have, right? I'm sure these were a couple of Army South, warriors, but they knew instantly who I was referring to. It was fun. Yep.
Now we're going to say also known as Colonel Grandpa.
That's exactly right. Yeah. We knew him when. We knew him when before it all took place.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Jay, what do you got? Anything else?
Well, I'll just, one thing I want to say, Darren, from the bottom of my heart, we may not get to interact often. I do hope we stay in touch. And, but more than anything, I want to say thank you for your dedicated service to this great country. 37 years is unbelievable. And, man, I'm so appreciative of you and your bride. And, praying that there's great things ahead. I believe that's absolutely true for you, but I do look forward to hearing from you and every once in a while getting a glimpse into what the next chapter looks like for you. And if I can ever assist you in any way, I hope you'll reach out.
Thank you, Jay.
He's alluding to taste testing. Don't let him fool you.
That's not what I was alluding to at all.
I'm keeping it real here.
Yeah.
Honestly, Darren, it was a pleasure to have you. This was really fun because it's fun to see, I get to help Jay when he does his ETAP, and I see the faces and I see the worried looks and I see the holy crap, what's about to happen kind of stuff. And so like he's like, guess what? Do you remember Darren? I'm like, yeah, he's doing whiskey. I'm like it kind of feels like a little bit of our success in a way that like you took those steps, you're like, I'm going to go do this, and it's proven it's worth, so we appreciate you sharing that with us. And now you're a little famous. And so you can impart more wisdom to the world. So I think it's great. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Donna.
So, all right. I think we can, as you say, Jay, land the plane, wrap this bad boy up. You ready?
Yeah, nothing from me, Donna.
Okay.
I think it was fun, definitely different than, the conversations we normally have, but this is why we like doing it, right? We love just kind of opening the aperture a little wider for people and letting them get glimpses into things veterans are doing and things veterans are going through. So,
and we have a wide array because I do all the booking, and let me just tell you, we are booked through May. Yeah. So we got a lot coming, let me tell you. And it's great.
Wide variety, right? It's true.
Wide variety. It's good. So, all right, everybody, we're going to wrap this up. And we are so appreciative of all you guys coming here and listening to us and sharing this and talking about it. And as always, if you can just like and share, spread the word, pass the podcast on to other people that you think might need it or find it interesting. And I am sure plenty of people are going to find a whiskey podcast interesting. So really, you should just share this with all your buddies. So from all of us here at our parent podcast, Coming Home Well, and us at Beyond the Frontline, we thank you so much. You guys have an awesome week.
Bye for now, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Frontline, a podcast of Coming Home Well. Join us every other Wednesday. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review.